Yo, this is a story all about how some friends got together who had swagger and style to watch a little TV and talk a little trash. They decided to make it a show and called it the Binge-Worthy Podcast.
Oh,
What up, Benjies?
So good.
Welcome to the Binge-Worthy Podcast, part of the Geekish Network. I'm your boy, Johnny Randolph, and I've got two amazing co-hosts. My first co-host, this lady, she is an actress, a writer, a director. For short, I just call her a superstar. Say what's up to the people, Miss Courtney Scott, right?
Hello.
And yo, my man here, he is a game designer, a serial entrepreneur, a jet setter, part owner of the Geekish Network. Let him know who you are, Chuck.
What it do, y'all?
And we are the Binge-Worthy Podcast. Man, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing great.
Pretty good.
Good. It's
Doing
good.
excellent.
Good seeing you all. We weren't on last week, so it's always good when we get the family back together. Now, the premise of our show is that every week we will binge watch a television series. Then we come right here to the Binge-Worthy Podcast. We discuss that series. Now, at the beginning of our show, we rate it using our Binge-Worthy scale. Then we engage in some high-level, captivating and scintillating conversation. And at the end, we will re-rate that series. Maybe, just maybe, our co-host can influence us to change that rating. Sometimes it lifts it all the way up, and then at other times it just drags that shit all the way down to the floor. Now, speaking of our binge-worthy scale, at a number 5 is what we call a full binge out. That means that this is one of those outstanding properties. One of those properties that, you might curl up on the couch with your boo and you just watch it all the way through. Or you and your coworkers are talking about it and it caused you to be late for that 10:30 meeting because you're so engaged in the conversation. At a number 4 is what we call a full meal. A full meal, it is not quite a full binge out, but it is definitely worth your time to invest in viewing it. At a number 3, we call that a mini meal. Now, a mini meal, it isn't bad. It's just not great either. Our co-host Courtney, she always says it's like a TV dinner, and I always say without all that Lyris seasoning sprinkled in on it. At a number 2, we call that a snack. A snack, well, I mean, you might eat it, but you're not going to get full. I mean, it's like basketball season is over with, football season is over with. It's nothing new on Hulu or Amazon Prime or anything like that. And all you got to watch is that show and boring ass baseball. And so that's what a snack is. And at number 1, we call that a cringe-worthy. A cringe-worthy is just some old bullshit. Like, why the hell are we watching this? And today, we're going to be watching Peacock's Bel Air. The premise of Bel Air is the series follows Will Smith's complicated journey from the streets of West Philadelphia to the gated mansions of Bel Air. Like, some white person had to write that, right? The streets of Bel Air, really? Like, but whatever. So we're going to rate this series, and we're going to start with you, Chuck, man. How are you going to rate Bel Air?
We're going to start with me on Bel Air.
Start with you on Bel Air.
I enjoyed it and I hated it at the same time. It puts me in a real weird place. I thought it was beautiful. I don't want to qualify my reason. I'm going to start out with a mini meal. I have my reasons why, but yeah, there's some things as I reflect on it, I'm like, I would have changed a lot of this stuff.
Okay. All right. So I am going to. Oh, go ahead. No, finish.
No,
Finish your
no,
thought, man.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'll
Sure.
qualify the rest of it later.
Okay. 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 I'm going to jump in here. I actually had very low expectations of this, and we'll talk about it a little later because I thought to myself, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, its predecessor, it is a jewel to me. Easily, easily one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. Top three, depending on which episode I watch, maybe top one. And I felt with them doing a dramatic version of it, they just won't let us have nice things, right? They're gonna mess it up and mire it and take one of these staple iconic shows and just ruin it for no reason. So, with my low expectations, I was pleasantly surprised. There were a lot of things in the show that I enjoyed. I think that the people in it are just freaking beautiful. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
a amazing looking cast. I just love how they did it, and I like the I liked some of the stories. Some of the things got a little over dramatic for me, and I was like, well, did we really need all of that? But again, this was something that was pleasantly surprising for me. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a full meal. So I'm going to give it a full meal. So we're going to shift over to you, Miss Courtney Scott Wright. How are you going to rate Bel Air?
Well, originally we talked about this like back when Bel Air first was announced, because the trailer was so that high concept teaser trailer sizzle reel was so powerful. And then when the series actually got picked up and the new trailer dropped, we talked about it and we were like, nah, we don't really need to do it. It's not really in our like model. And we opted not to. And then it got moved back to our slate. And so I was like, okay, I'm here. Let me go ahead and go in with an open mind because, like you, Randy, I have a great affection for the Fresh Prince. We grew up with it, and just the way it presented certain things. Like, for instance, like I didn't grow up in a mansion or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but I would say I was raised closer to the idea. My mom wanted me to think I had mansion money, even though we was living on that Kool-Aid, you know what I mean? But that's the way she raised. So she raised me to carry myself like I was a rich kid, even though we weren't. So for me, I was closer to the idea of like the mentally speaking, like the Hillarys or the Ashleys, as opposed to Will Smith. So like in the Fresh Prince. So I love to see that dichotomy of those two styles of people coming together and finding common ground, and I feel like this one, it was so uberly dramatic. You know what I mean? Like it was so intense. Like it just wanted to be so heavy. And I'm like, you don't have to be this daggone heavy like every episode. But yes, I agree. The actors were phenomenal. I can't take that away from anybody. Like all the acting I enjoyed. I thought it was beautifully shot, with the exception of some weird random close-ups that just happened towards like the bottom, the latter 3 to 4 episodes towards the end. I was like, why we just got this like random, like right here? But I thought it was stunning. And I can't really take that away from it. Oh, the hairstyles were on point for the Black women. Like, okay, I'm happy about that. But for me, it was like a mini meal.
Okay. So you're going with a mini meal?
Yeah, man. And I struggled. I wanted to give it a full meal. I definitely couldn't give it a binge out because if we weren't watching this series, I would have stopped.
Okay. So we've got 2 mini meals and a full meal that gives us a 3.33, and that's right there at a mini meal rating. So right now, We are doing it at a mini meal. Okay, so Courtney, you touched on it a little bit. You said that this was a trailer, right? It started off as a fan film, and it was by Morgan Cooper. He was the creator of it, and then it just blew up, like, and it caught on to the right people, and then it became a streaming show, right? So that's bringing your dreams to fruition. I can't knock anybody who's able to do that. I'm gonna start with you,
Exactly.
Chuck. When you first heard that they were doing a dramatization of that iconic sitcom, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, what were your thoughts?
Why? It didn't
Okay.
need it. There was no point. The trailer wasn't that good. I thought it was okay. I was like, that's cool. Okay. And then they said they picked it up for a show, and I was like, what show are they going to make with a drama? The point of the sitcom was that it was situational sitcom, and it was simple. And drama means you can't repeat the scenes over and over again. Jazz getting thrown out of the house could happen every episode, and I would laugh just the same. They could have filmed it once, and that's all they had to do. And just have them going out at the same time with the same shirt on. It didn't matter to me. It did not matter to me. It was like Martin. Situational comedy is different. And when you go to drama, heavy drama tone, and with deep prime colors, you can't repeat anything. You're talking Dynasty and Falcon's Crest level of drama.
Yeah, like that was the thing
stuff
about
all the time there, though.
Well, yeah, but even the situation comedy, like it was situational. At least 15 or even 10 to 15 minutes of that show did have a bit of drama. So there were levels. You know what I mean? There are some of the greatest poignant moments in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air that happened between Will Smith and Uncle Phil. And they managed to butcher that. I'm like, how do you take iconic moments from a series that was so memorable, and then you take it and you bastardize it? Like, I'm sorry, it's not even Chuck's fault. Chuck didn't make us watch this. But I was mad. I was like, why are we watching this the whole time? I'm like, why are we watching this?
So let me jump in here real quick. Another thing I would say, like, a lot of people may forget how iconic the Fresh Prince of Bel Air was, because it came out in September of 1990. At that time, rappers were not actors. Rappers didn't want to be actors, and actors didn't want rappers to be actors, right? I mean, sure, you had some shows where you might have had like a guest appearance or something like that, but this was the first like show where it actually starred an actual rapper. It was the first to ever happen. It was the first sitcom to actually have like a hip hop theme as its intro. That had never happened in television before then. And like, we had the Jeffersons, the Penthouse in the Sky in the 70s, and the Cosbys had the cool brownstone in the 80s. But man, when I was a kid and I saw the Banks Mansion, I was like, whoa. I wasn't familiar as a kid growing up in Detroit. I wasn't familiar with LA or California geography, but I was like, wherever the hell Bel Air is, I want to live there. So it was like, to me, it was such a big brand. And when they said they was going to dramatize it, I was like, what? Why do they need, like, they're gonna make us overly traumatic. Will's gonna be selling drugs, and Uncle Phil is gonna be on drugs, and Hillary gonna be a hoe. I was like, this is what they're gonna do. They're gonna ruin it. They don't let us have nice things. This was my first thought, because they create extra trauma for Black people. They really do. They create extra trauma for Black people.
Well, that, and I feel like a lot of times they embellish the trauma that they think is going on in every single Black community, and they take things that have been had a spotlight put on it in the media, and yet we're perpetuating more of the stereotype. Like, this is the way every Black teenage male behaves,
right,
and that is not accurate. And it's not even if they come from a certain area, they don't always, like, I'm sorry, the pilot, I hated the pilot. I hated it. I hated it because there were so many problems with it, That entire first pilot should have been Will in Philadelphia. It should have been Will in Philadelphia and then ended with him in front of the mansion, a shot from him from the back, seeing the mansion, which is what happens in like, like the opening sequence of the original Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
And that's where it should end. And then episode 2, we follow him into the mansion and then he drops into that world. Because the pilot moves so fast. It moves so fast and then moves him into this world. And we see him at this upper echelon party where he's acting super ig. And I'm like, what? Yeah. His mother raised him better than that. His mother raised him. He would not come into this party. I don't care where he came from. And I appreciate them trying to set upon the mission that he is unapologetically himself. I get that. But even Will Smith in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, he would come in with his like classic, like, hey, yo, and then he would pull back like, you know what I mean? Well, like, I understand I should be respectable right now, like, because I have been raised.
In the first episode of the original series, I'm sorry, Courtney, I cut you off. Please go ahead.
No. I mean that's pretty much all I was gonna say. Like, let me just text you, like, or tell you what I wanted to say. Like, he's rushed into the house, into an uncomfortable party. We hurriedly meet the Banks, only to learn that Carlton is a drug addict. Will is hooking up with Carlton's ex, which destroys Will's character right off the bat in the pilot. You destroy
Agreed.
Him. So he has no basic loyalty to
no
his
code,
family,
no
code at all. This is your cousin's ex-girlfriend, and Lisa didn't come into the series until Will was in college. He met her at college. Carlton had no idea who Lisa was. And now you destroy his responsibility, his character that he has. You walking into this family who literally is saving your life. And you worried about what's going on in your drawers? I was so offended. I was offended.
See, I don't know. In the first episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, they do have a party. And Will intentionally acts like an asshole. He wears like a t-shirt that's got a tuxedo on it. He's being really rude. He's being really standoffish. And it's like, it sets this kind of dichotomy that Will is saying, like, he literally says the words, Uncle Phil, I don't know if you forgot about somewhere between Princeton and the law review, you forgot where you came from. And they have this really intense dialogue in the first episode. So I don't know. Yes, maybe that's what they were trying to recapture.
And they failed. They failed because they did not impress upon the point that he's doing this on purpose.
Yes.
He was doing that because
like
I'm showing this is who I am. Like, this is who I am. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna show these people who I am. I'm gonna show them that they don't know who I am. Like, Hillary legit, like, Aunt Viv says, oh, we're gonna change your outfit. And he goes upstairs and he's like excited to be on these new threads, you know what I'm saying? And then he comes down to the party and he's just like, acts like he has no home training. Now, if he had done that, what you said, and it was reminding us that that's what Will did in the pilot, that'd have been a whole different story. Yeah. That's not what happened.
He changed in that suit quick.
Real quick.
Done at the party and didn't act like he's ever been around. And I was like, your mother's a nurse. And
a nurse.
And the opening of the pilot, when he's walking around Philly and the little girl's hollering at him in front of his mom, I thought that was odd too.
I did too.
I was like, I don't know, one girl's gonna holler at a dude in front of his mom.
I don't know, even if they do try to like holler at him, if they see him maybe they didn't know that was his mom, but I don't know any dude who would just kind of be like, I don't know her. Maybe give her a head nod. Maybe your head nod, keep it moving. Like, but I'm not gonna be like, oh,
They try to portray Philly as this really hard place. Like, Philly's this hard place, and everybody there is unruly and
every black person is there is unruly, and really ghetto. Don't know how to act.
They have no refinement to them. They are the brutes. They are the brutes that white people came to civilize.
Yeah, right. Like, right. There's no people that are middle class in Philly at all.
I felt, and even though poor people, like, you can be working class and poor and still have like morals and scruples and raise well. Like, you don't necessarily go into a party like, what up, dog? You know what I'm saying, right? You don't. Because he wouldn't talk like that around his mother's friends. I can guarantee you he wouldn't do that. And for them to kind of depict that at that party was a little like,
Yeah, because it wasn't like him coming in like, oh, you don't know what you know what I mean? Because they literally got his ass out of jail. They got him out of jail. He was looking at time. And that's something that is really not really like in the the original, it was made light upon. You got this funny song, your mom said you're moving with auntie and uncle in Bel Air. Like it's just comedic, from the beginning. Like we don't really, we know that something happened to Will and they talk about it briefly, but it's like, let's get into the comedy of the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So we know
the pilot was trash.
Well,
so angry.
We're talking about the pilot and everything, but I mean, it can be hard for a reboot. I struggle with that. To break away from its predecessor. Do you think, or how do you think that Bel Air did in establishing its own identity from its predecessor? So we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Chuck, and then we'll go over to you, Courtney.
Yeah, I thought it did good and established his identity, but I think it did that in look. I felt as though they rushed everything in the first week he was there. The first 4 episodes was about the first week for just him, just his first week. All hell broke in those first 4 days. I would have sent his ass back to Philly. He done stole his cousin's girl, done beat up his cousin's friend, threatened his cousin's friend for saying the N-word in a rap song, all kinds of like so much happened in the first 4 days he was there. I was like, Jesus, it's like they said, what's the dramatic parts in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air the first 6 seasons? All right.
Well, I mean, him even going to school, like him going to school, being chased by a security guard. Like he would have had to have come into school, gone to the office, checked in, and gotten like a class, like where this is where you're starting, and you just automatically have him break out running from a security guard, like. And he's all busted, dressed up, weird. Like his shirt is all like untucked, his tie is undone. Like, I don't know.
I didn't quite get him being
the fact that his cousin left him there and he had to get to school on his own. That was weird too. Like, how do you know where the school was?
You left me. You was like, get to school on your own.
GPS. I mean, but here's the thing. Aunt Viv would have taken him there.
Yeah, she would have.
She would have taken him there. I have to enroll you. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, even if they do stuff online, I mean, I don't have kids. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do stuff online these days. But like, I imagine if this is a new student enrollment, I would still go in with him. I don't need to stay, but like, I don't know. I feel like he needed to go. He should have had at least a paper in his hand with a class list, but he had nothing. He had nothing. Like if you don't want Aunt Viv, you don't want her in that scene, that's cool. But he should have had something.
Absolutely.
To say that this is where I'm supposed to be.
And what makes it bad was it's called Bel Air Academy. That means it's a private school.
Oh, definitely.
So she has to walk him up in there.
Yeah.
It's on the large campus that size. He knew where to park. It was like everything was very. It was just so rushed.
And it was just they would have needed to write a check before they let him in that school at all.
Exactly.
Well, exactly. He would have been introduced to a dean. The dean would have been giving him a tour.
A bookshelf, a counselor assigned to him.
Uncle Phil's running for district attorney, and I'm trying to get some more donations. Somebody should have been giving him a tour. Yeah. I don't know. Like I just had so many problems. But the first, going back to pacing, kind of what Chuck was saying. The first 4 episodes were so rushed and so fast. Cut to the back half of the episodes were so
like
slow.
Months ahead.
We're like slow, painfully slow. And you could tell that they wanted to slow it down because even the music was slower. The way everyone was talking was slower. The way things were like happening was slower and drawn out. And I was like, oh my God. Why?
I felt as though they rushed this production. They didn't think it through. They're writing on the fly and they rushed it. And they tried. They're like, let's get all the stuff from the whole last episode, from the last Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Let's throw all that in the first 5 episodes, get that out the way. Then we write the story we really want to write. I think that's what happened. They show all the dramatic scenes from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air in this series, in this first season. His dad showing up, his mom.
But we
like,
jumping way here. So let's take a little time.
Okay.
Let's explore some things right here. So Courtney, there's a lot of interesting dynamics between various characters. So let's explore them a little bit. Let's talk about the dynamic between Carlton and Will. Like Carlton, he's like the man at Bel Air Prep. He's captain of the lacrosse team, student body president of his class, head of his class in academia. And then Will comes along. Will has like this crazy swagger. He's handsome. He's talented. Basketball, a sport that I say that really matters because lacrosse really doesn't. And there is this conflict between them two. What do you think about the dynamic between Will and Carlton and how that contributes to the overall quality of the show?
I think they did an utter disservice to the relationship that Black men have with each other, especially family. Like, yeah, maybe they haven't seen each other in a very long time, but like my cousin is my cousin. Like, I'm at least gonna try and get to know you. Like right off the bat, like neither one of them tried. I mean, they did their best to make Carlton the most unlikable person ever. And I know at the beginning of the series of Fresh Prince, like Carlton wasn't necessarily likable, but he was entertaining. He was fun to watch. You know, this actor, though he did his job well, he did exactly what he understood the assignment and he fulfilled his mission. And he's actually a really good actor. I just didn't like the way that they assassinated his character from the beginning. Both of them. Like, why are you gonna pit two Black men against each other? Like,
no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I just think that they jumped way ahead, kind of like what you guys were just saying. Like they jumped ahead in giving Carlton an addiction. Like, and then to try and clean it up, saying, "Oh, he's shooting Xanax. He's snorting Xanax." No, he ain't. Just say cocaine. He's snorting cocaine. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, in the first episode.
Carlton was the character I had the biggest trouble with. It was like they were intentionally trying to make him an asshole.
The rich Black kid an asshole.
Right, like why?
I get kid an asshole.
Right. I get that there is pressure with him being his father's a very prominent position. He's wealthy. He's not a lot of Black students at that school or minorities at that school, but they just tried really hard to make Carlton just unbearable.
Can I say something?
Shoot, yeah.
They did the most Tyler Perry stuff I've ever seen on modern television. They took the dark-skinned guy who was really wealthy and made him a super villain. And the brown-skinned, light-skinned guy from the streets had to get his stuff together, and he ended up getting the girl.
Yeah, and I just couldn't get over the fact that he had no code. Like, I would never. I mean, listen, I totally had a crush on a boy in the 8th grade, and he was a high school boy. He was not checking for me at all. We get to freshman year, and my cousin was like, "Oh, he ugly. I don't like him." And we get to 9th grade, and all of a sudden, now he's real cute. You know what I mean? And he likes her. She likes him. That boy never knew I liked him, but I still had my little feelings hurt. But that was my cousin. You know what I mean? Like it. Yeah. I was like, we didn't have a thing. He didn't even know. So it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, was I a little salty? Yeah, but like we didn't have a thing. They legitimately had history, like full on relationship history.
Yes. And I'm thinking to myself, Will, she ain't the only girl at Bel Air Prep. And then when you show me Aisha later on,
and then you show me Aisha,
and I'm like, oh, she's way cuter than Lisa. What are you doing?
Way cuter than Lisa.
Girl,
and she was fly. And she had stuff to say. She was about something.
Track star. Like, I'm like, man, you picked the wrong one. You picked the wrong one. You just went for the first. You went to the first girl you saw.
In Will's defense, though, he did know that Carlton and Lisa.
She told him.
He knew right away. She told him right away.
Oh, okay.
As soon as she found out that was Carlton's cousin, she immediately told him, "We had history. We dated."
Yes.
And
when he had his issues, I was there. When I had my issues, he was there for me. Come on, it was
Come on,
bad. It was
man.
just
Like,
bad.
There was some character
It
things.
was bad.
Even
It
There
for
was
a
some character flaws I
17-year-old,
thought Will had.
you gotta
Just-
have a code.
yeah.
And that kid, you cannot tell me that he should not have had a code coming from Philly.
Yeah, he had that
And
code
you
with his
talking about
friends.
you had a code with your friend.
He
and
pulled a
you
gun
gonna
out and shot a
mislead
gun for
Shot a
Trey.
gun for his friend, and you gonna tell me you just left your code in Philly?
They did take some, and even some of the things, and I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. Even when Will gave Uncle Phil the papers that Jeffrey had given him, I was like, Will a snitch. Will's a snitch. Like you knew you went to Jeffrey because you didn't want to go to Uncle Phil. That's the reason he went to.
He had already gone to Uncle Phil, and
right. And so he went to Jeffrey because he knew Uncle Phil wasn't giving him. And then when Jeffrey gave you the papers, you went back to Uncle Phil, was like, yeah, Jeffrey gave these to me, but I don't want to look at them now. I was like, you just got Jeffrey fired.
Well, okay. That part, I don't necessarily think that he thought that he was going to get Jeffrey fired. And B, I don't necessarily, as a kid, and you ask somebody behind your back, you're feeling guilty. I feel guilty that I asked Jeffrey to do this thing. And A, maybe he thought Jeffrey already told Uncle Phil. I think that was a safe bet to think that. You know what I mean? Like
Will
street code would tell you
Uncle
not to
Phil,
tell anything. You just
street
tell
code would
not-
tell you
right.
to put that
He's
file
from the
Philly.
street.
He from
in your
He's
Philly.
from the
Yeah.
streets. He knew what he was doing. Right.
I'm
That's
from
true.
Philly.
I was
true.
like,
That
that's why his mama
characteristic.
had to get him out of Philly because she's like, we're gonna snitch.
But yeah, somebody should have found it in his room. Like if they were looking for something and then they
That would have been more believable. But
That would have been more believable for him.
That'd
to
been more
come in.
believable.
You're
Our
right.
Deb went in the room and found it
and she
took it down.
found it, right?
And she
But him to
found
go
it.
like, no, Uncle Phil. Because if that was the case, why didn't he just go to? Well, he went.
Why
to
didn't he
Uncle
just go to
first and
Uncle
shut
Phil in
it-
the first place?
Right, and just push
Yeah.
for it. Then I was like,
Mhm.
that wasn't really cool for him to do. I was like, he just got Jeffrey fired. When I saw that, I was like,
And Jeffrey was my
literally got
favorite
fired.
character.
Jeffrey is about that life.
Jeffrey
and I
is-
am
he's my favorite
all
character.
For it.
He
I was like,
my
yo, we need to
favorite
get Jeffrey and
character.
more
That's
stuff.
the only one they got right. That's the only upgrade that I'm here for.
Man, He
That
was
is
with
the
the he had
only
a
upgrade I'm
code and
here for.
everything.
He sure did. He was
about that
flawless.
life.
Jeffrey was nice with his hands. Jeffrey was street
He was
smart.
nice
He
with them.
read
Oh,
everything.
every time he
yeah.
walked in the room, like I told you, I got that. You know what I mean? Like I was with Joan. Every time Joan was looking for Jeffrey, I was
She
like,
was like,
girl,
"Where's
me too.
Jeffrey at?" Yeah,
Girl, me
She
too. Where's Jeffrey
Joan
at?
was on it. She was on it.
I was rooting for Joan.
And he
I
was
really was.
clean every time you
Clean.
see
Every time you
even
saw
if
him,
he's
clean.
setting up a
Chill.
hit, Jeffrey was clean.
I was like, he's
man.
MI6. He's MI6.
He's
That's what I
straight
was like,
in my six.
Right.
The only
really
man I will
MI6.
ever like with who wears loafers with no socks. I was like, I'm gonna let that pass, Jeffrey, because you running that James Bond shit, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he was running it. I
was
liked him. I thought his
running it.
vibe was cool.
I kind of want him to be James Bond. Not gonna
Me
lie,
too.
I haven't wanted a black James Bond, but if we could get him 005 or 008, something, I'm
Yes.
okay with that.
He could be
Let's make an
Mhm.
African Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
He was cool. Yeah, that character, it was really an upgrade from the original one. And I'm trying to keep them separated, right? I'm trying to let Bel Air live in its own universe because it is a reboot, and I'm trying to give it room to breathe on its own.
Mhm.
And some of the changes that they made, I really did like.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you didn't
one-
ask me that question.
huh?
If I thought you didn't ask me if I thought it was its own, if it succeeded in the mission.
Oh, well, pardon me, ma'am. Do you think it succeeded in establishing itself from its predecessor?
I was like, you asked Chuck. Randy didn't ask me.
I thought you just weighed in on it, but yeah, please.
I agree. I do think it succeeded in setting itself apart from Fresh Prince. I think it may have gone a little too far to one spectrum, but I do think that it solidified itself as a separate entity.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Another interesting dynamic I thought was between Viv and Hillary. Like Hillary, she's kind of this modern woman. She stands on her principles and beliefs. At least from my perspective, she wants to be an influencer. She's just having some trouble bringing her goals to fruition. Viv is super smart. She's beautiful, but like she had to quit potentially promising career as an artist to become the role of a full-time mother. And she seems to want the best for Hillary, but they're clashing. who you guys riding with? Team Hillary or Team Viv, or maybe a combination of both?
I said a combination of both of them. I enjoyed Hillary. She was at that age where she get all things messed up. She dropped out of Stanford. That means she got into Stanford. And nobody's talked about it for 2 years. And she's been trying to make this thing as an influencer. And she's not just influencer being sexy on the gram. She's actually cooking.
The food in this show is dynamic.
Yeah, the food's good. She's about the heritage of the food. The show is really about a lot of food because every time you saw them have their moments, it was always around food.
Which I thought that was a really cool thing to bring in because food is a very large part of Black communal experience. And I did like the glow up that they gave Hillary, because Hillary in the show, she was a little snobby. She was the snobby one towards Will. She was the one who was like, you're beneath me and like, don't talk to me, like she was the one who had the most, I think, trouble with Will initially. And she was always floundering until she got her news career, her weather girl situation. And then she ended up getting a show that moved her to New York, which is, why the family ultimately ended up leaving California at the end of the series. But in terms of her and Aunt Viv's dynamic, I loved and hated it because the mother-daughter relationship does tend to be one of the hardest relationships to maneuver. But at the same time, I thought that they portrayed Aunt Viv as having, it was just the way she was going about reaching for Hillary. Like they didn't need to always be at each other's throats. There was really only one instance where one of them wasn't battling the other. And I just hate seeing Black women always fighting against each other. Like, give me something that shows me like Aunt Viv genuinely loves her daughter and wants the best for her daughter. I would like her to say that more often.
Yeah.
Because that didn't happen. The one time when she said, I want to see you try and rescue yourself, okay, but I do think in that first initial moment, yes, try and rescue yourself. But then you also need to let her know, but I am here for you if you need us. Because she really needed a lawyer to get out of that contract. And her dad is legitimately running for district attorney.
Yeah, but I like the fact she wanted to do it on her own. I thought that was an arc for this character to like, hey, I'm gonna make this happen on my own. And she's trying to break away and exert her independence from her family.
Yeah, except she used that credit card at the Four Seasons. Well,
she ain't trying to do it 100%. She's just trying to do it in steps.
They still gonna end up paying for it, is my point. They still paying that credit card bill. So whether or not you tell dad and say, hey, can you get me out of this contract? Or, hey, dad, this credit card bill is $20,000. Either way, dad is rescuing you.
I don't know. Like, I
like the outcome. Don't get me wrong. I respect like what you said. I like the outcome.
Like your parents, they're going to do certain things for you, but like there's certain stuff you want to kind of do on your own. Like, I'm all right with mom and dad.
She needed a lawyer. Her daddy needed a lawyer. A multi-million-dollar. He built his fortune off being a lawyer.
Off being a private practice lawyer.
So that's the guy that wants to go fight your contract for you.
I get it.
That's totally
stupid.
Silly.
I get it.
First of all, you gonna tell me your daddy is a lawyer?
The lawyer.
He didn't teach you to read your contracts. My mother went to law school, and she was telling me from jump, don't ever sign anything without reading it. Lots of kids don't do
stuff their parents teach them to do, though.
I did.
She didn't have her dad read the contract.
Lots of other kids. I know plenty of kids that don't do. I know plenty of kids that did do stuff their parents raised them to do.
I read everything. People get mad at me because I read everything.
She's been out of school for 2 years, and she'll just be graduating. So she's like 21, 22.
Yeah, I get
apparently.
It.
And you didn't have your dad, who's a lawyer, read your contract?
Look at the contract.
Because she's trying to break.
Not at the time. She wasn't breaking away. She was daddy's little girl. She wasn't trying to break away from her.
That's the whole reason she moved into the house.
Yes, but she wasn't breaking. That was her breaking away from her mama, not her daddy. Because after that, she was gonna go to her dad to her mom stopped her.
Advice.
So you didn't go to your dad.
Everything legal advice, but everything for Hillary is free.
No.
Hillary doesn't worry about money.
So
you all didn't grow up like her, or like we didn't grow up like Hillary doesn't work. Everything for
you think
Hillary
Kim
is free.
Kardashian is not going to let Chris look at a contract with the lawyers?
I think Rob
Exactly.
Kardashian would. Yes, I think
Who?
he would do. Rob
No,
Kardashian
absolutely
would.
not.
I
No,
think he
his
would,
dad was literally
absolutely.
an attorney.
His dad was
Their
an
father
attorney.
was an
Yeah.
attorney.
I
That
absolutely
is the
think he
first
would.
lesson.
No, Randy.
That's the
No,
first
Randy.
lesson that lawyers
Every lawyer,
teach their
every child of a
children.
lawyer is like being great with contracts, is what y'all telling me.
No,
every child with
they know
with
enough to
high-powered
ask
lawyer
somebody for
will have their
help
dad look at
and
the
to
contract.
read the fine print. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't know what the hell is in the damn
I
contract,
believe
but
it.
they know enough to know.
No,
I need to have somebody look at this contract.
That's
because
one
I'm
of
not trying to
us
lose money.
that don't have a lawyer
Yeah.
dad. Our
Mm-mm.
dad
I would
didn't.
read it all because I would be like, I'm already poor.
I read it all. I read everything.
Our
And I
dad
sit
didn't
there
move
and
us
ask
into an
questions.
$18 million mansion. You
And
didn't get to
that's
an
why
$18 million mansion by not reading
Please.
contracts.
I
And that-
highlight and I
right.
put my little stickers in, and I'm like, I got. My mom's like, do you want me to look it over? No, I'm okay. Or
Right,
like,
but
no,
that's-
I mean, there's a lot of pages in this contract. Yeah, I want you to look it over.
But that's why that's why it's not that big of a deal for her. She
And how did
doesn't
her
understand
dad not
financial
ask to read the
consequences.
contract?
How
I
did
don't
he
get
not
that.
ask to read the contract?
That I wonder. That I do wonder. That I do wonder. It's like, why did you
Yeah.
have to sign? Now that I do believe
And-
that
and
he would have
here's the
done.
thing. And
because
here's the thing.
Kylo coulda
If
wrote in there, "I'll
Jeffrey
take care
does
of
his
him."
due diligence, you think he didn't see that contract? I don't believe that Jeffrey
Yeah.
would have let that slide. I don't
Yeah.
Nobody
believe
let that
that.
slide.
Right. That I do believe. But Hillary, I'm like, yeah, she doesn't have to pay consequences. Why? What's $50,000 to her? She don't care about $50,000.
But
Like
that was what said $50,000, but she didn't even know that was even in the
She
contract.
didn't even
that's
know
what
that
I'm
was in
She
there.
doesn't understand financial penalties because she's never had to be responsible for.
But still, she
financial
signed
if
it.
you
But she
wanna run a
understands her
business,
image.
This
She
is
understands her
someone who
image.
wants to run a business, and this is why I say they presented Hillary as this person
She was sharp
who was
about
sharp
social media.
about everything. She was sharp about her business,
Mhm.
and then you
Her
come
image.
with this like last minute like, oh, ditzy blonde moment. No, man, that was out.
I
of
know
character.
people who are good at with ideas that aren't business savvy. It happens all
No,
the time.
But she's about her
No.
image.
There's
And
it happens all the time. People
but
who are
you're gonna
great
go into an
with building a
influencer house.
brand, they're not good at the business of it. That's why
And
they hire a
business manager or an attorney.
Right. They learn that later. They are not good with business.
But they
That's
never
why they
been
get
around
a business partner.
Randy, everybody
Wow.
you mentioned has never been around an attorney.
Exactly.
She grew up with one in the house.
Right,
That
so
bought
she
an
doesn't-
$18 million house.
So she doesn't care about financial consequences.
But it's
I
not about the
disagree.
finance. I'm thinking about
not
her
about
image.
that.
Because Kylo could have said, I own your image.
Yes.
You cannot do anything without me.
He did
And I-
say that essentially.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in this house.
All right, we
It's
gonna move
my
on.
property.
But I
But,
think she would have read that.
We argued enough. All
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So
Can we talk
Will's,
about Aunt Viv and how they
huh?
changed her?
Well,
That
Viv was
bothered
changed
me.
literally in the series.
Huh?
She was
But no, her
changed.
personality
No, Viv was literally changed.
in the original
Actresses
series.
in the
yeah.
original series.
Dark skin,
And the
light skin,
first actress was completely different than the second actress. The personality, the storyline, and everything. Viv in the original series started off as a professor. And she actually came to Bel Air Prep and started a Black History class. And Will and Carlton ended up hating her, and all the white kids liked her because she was harder on them because they were the Black students. Then the other Aunt Viv was more like stay-at-home mom and things like that.
Yeah.
So Aunt Viv has been a character that's been fluid throughout the trajectory of the Fresh Prince history.
Right. That's not what I meant. I meant in terms of like the way they changed Aunt Viv. Yes, she was a professor in the original one. She was a professor of dance. And this one, she was a professor of
She had a
art
background in
history.
dance. She was a professor of history in the original one.
Okay. But she had a background in dance. Like dance was a very huge part of who she was. There was one of the best episodes is when Aunt
She
Viv
beat those
came out of
girls.
retirement and she beat those girls in that dance. I would have loved to have seen, if you're going to go back and have an opportunity to revisit Aunt Viv, I was looking forward to seeing Aunt Viv be a dancer and like have that be her background and not have this like the art world. The art world was it's just boring. It's just boring. And you can't sex it up with Michael Ealy. And it looks weird. It's just weird. It was weird. It was like, why are you flirting with this married woman?
Because he's a creep and he plays a creep in everything he does. He's
Yeah.
a thirst trap. That's who he is. He's a thirst trap.
Well,
That's what
they're there for.
also too, they tried their best not to make it one-to-one for any of the characters. Like
Yeah, right.
Jazz and Hillary's relationship was She was falling all over Jazz.
She was falling, although Jazz was pretty fly. He was my second favorite character.
Yeah.
Jeffrey and Jazz never had that much suave.
Yeah.
He never had that much swag. Jazz was like, he was awkward, just like Will. And he was just ridiculous. But this Jazz was like smooth and had a record store, had his life together. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't she want Jazz?
And he's older than Will in this. Like in the original, they're not the same age. He's a lot older. And I was all for this series finally letting Jazz and Hillary hook up because Jazz spent 6 seasons trying to get with Hillary, and he finally got it on the remake of Bel Air. So
like 8. He got in like 8 episodes.
Yeah, so I was all for that. I was all for the upgrade.
They have nowhere to go. It feels like they were planning for like not having season 2. Yeah. I feel like they were like, we gotta get everything in right now because they have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go.
Because what they're gonna have is that the girl that Hillary's working for actually fall for Jazz because they had that weird chemistry moment.
Yeah,
and
they
Hillary
did because I like them together.
What's going on here?
That's gonna be his actual girlfriend.
That threw me because I thought that Jazz and Hillary had something going on, and Jazz was openly flirting with that girl in front of Hillary. So, and then the next scene is like they're at the hotel together. So I was like, what?
I was really confused by that whole thing.
What?
Yeah, they rushed that scene.
Yeah,
they rushed.
It'd been different. She was flirting with him, and he was like, "Isn't this your girl?"
Right? Because he did it literally in front of Hillary. Because even Hillary, so it's like, ain't we? And it was just weird.
Maybe that's just who he is, and that this is foreshadowing that he's gonna hook up the old girl because he don't care. He's polyamorous, and this is what it's about. Polyamorous.
Well, they did, and speaking of polyamorous, they did bring in they brought in one of the influencers was gender fluid, and then they made it seem like Ashley. Well, I was very confused. I feel like they didn't know what to do with Ashley.
They made her like the girl. She liked the girl, and she kept it a secret.
But she also didn't necessarily not like the boy. She was gender fluid. Like she wasn't sure who she,
I think she liked the girl, and she knew the boy liked her, and she was just play that role.
That's the way I took it because she even expressed to Hillary that it was
all about
that
the
she
girl.
liked the girl.
She said she didn't know though. She did say that she didn't know.
She didn't know if it was permanent or not, but she was into the girl, into the girlfriend.
Right.
So,
and she was hurt when the girl said she saw guys when she was skating and she liked Will.
Right. And she kicked him out the party. It was like, y'all gotta get y'all shit, get out of here.
Right. She sure did. She sure did.
She's supposed to.
Like,
I don't want to be around him like
right. You want to be around my cousin?
You ain't liking me because you like.
But then that goes back to the code. At least Ashley got a code.
Oh wow,
like,
right. They gave
Ashley a code. You gotta go. I can't have you hooking up with my cousin.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about the code. So, like, Will's friend from his Philly comes in.
Trey.
Trey. Do y'all know who played Trey in the original series?
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he came for a visit out there. It was Don Cheadle. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Trey is hitting that Will's gonna return to Philly. Like, old boy's gone, so you can come back. And Will is like, I don't really want to come.
Yeah, after 2 weeks. He's been in Bel Air for 2 weeks. Let's be honest. He's been in Bel Air for 2 weeks, and then Trey comes to visit him.
I
a lot happened.
I think more time than that passed.
I think it was supposed to be a month to 2 months.
Yeah, okay, a month. No, because in 2 months they had Lisa's mom's thing because it was like they're planning it at the Hillary show. She said in a month from now we're gonna have Lisa's mom thing. So yeah, it's only like 2 months has passed, you guys, since Will's been out there in Bel Air.
Yeah,
all this happened in 2 months. This is one crazy ass life.
I mean, he almost drowned in the pilot.
I know it, right? First day. After he threatened his cousin's best friend, went to the best friend's party after he threatened to kick his ass.
That was actually a storyline in Fresh Prince too, about the N-word being said in Carlton. It was, but I think that was at like season 2.
They squeezed in all the dramatic parts from all the first. They're like, "Where's the drama part? We can put this in episode 4. We can put this in episode 5." They squeezed in all the dramatic parts of all the Fresh Prince in this first season.
What did you guys think about the frat episode?
I thought that was ridiculous. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
But wait.
First of all,
Wait, the extras in the back just doing this.
yeah. Well, first of all, they acting like Uncle Phil is 25 years old. Uncle Phil's a 45-year-old man. He's in his 40s, right? Of course, he spends more time with his family than his college frat brothers. And they was real like, we were your family too. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? I'm like, y'all all grown ass men, and y'all expect to be hanging out more with
rich. Because he got
well,
rich.
Because if their friend was in the hospital or dying or wherever,
right,
somebody should have texted him.
I saw they had to do it. I'm sure he would have been there, but like he
at least would have sent some flowers and a check.
Right,
and even if he couldn't come.
Right, and they all busy too. They acting like they all poor and they just spend all their time at the frat house. And Uncle Phil, y'all across the only one who made it.
He was the only one stepping. He was stepping with 20-year-old boys who just happen to know the same routine. They ain't changed the routine in 25, 30 years.
Sometimes they haven't. Because I've seen Morehouse Omegas that are my age with guys that just graduated.
That's what they all do. But that was all that they needed to convince him that he was still down for the people. Was 2 minutes stepping
and fetching. That's what we do. That's how you know you step and fetch.
Shouts out to the alphas. But that scene was ridiculous. That whole thing was Will gets on stage like, you better get him, get him the crime. And I'm like, what are you? What? Wait, hold on. What are we doing here?
We're at the crab boil. We're going to be stepping.
And that was all that they needed to convince him that he was down with the people. I was like, that was terrible, terrible, ridiculous, and terrible. It was terrible.
You just called that terrible? There's a lot of terrible in this.
Well, I mean, the whole
church scene. I was like, what's the point of this scene? What was the point of this scene?
I don't know.
The church scene. I was thinking about like going door to door, but the church scene, yeah, because they just wanted us to see Carlton have A, he could sing, and B, he has anxiety disorder. They kept pushing this anxiety disorder, but the problem is, and I am all for talking about mental health in teenagers, and I think it should definitely be explored. I don't think they explored it properly because they showed him, I think it was a missed opportunity. They showed him abusing drugs in order to supposedly maintain his anxiety disorder, but I need to see Carlton talk about, I'm going to therapy. Somebody needs to encourage him to go somewhere rather that's just people, we know he has anxiety, so we're just gonna go and check on him.
Right. Just like, and then he was just like, he went from doing coke and Xanax, like, oh no, I just quit. I'm tired of it. I'm over it.
Thanks for having my back, Will.
Because you can talk to me after church.
Another thing.
That's all you need to get off of drugs.
It's such a Tyler Perry moment. It was another Tyler Perry moment.
He was the magical Negro.
Yeah, it was a Tyler Perry moment. I was like, oh, this is so Tyler Perry right now. This whole show is, I think Tyler Perry was somewhere in the back behind Will Smith with his hand up his ass. I didn't think it was
Tyler Perry, but I do think that they had Will as the magical Negro. Like he could do no wrong. He fixed everybody's problems. It was the art picture all the time.
Aunt Viv made a picture of
art
him.
Picture. She didn't have any other pictures of her children. Just
which was weird.
But like nobody else in her family. She just got a picture. You know what I'm saying? Just got a picture of Will
with a crown on his head.
And then she's like, my nephew inspired me to get back out here and start painting. Like, damn, your kids must feel like
Will
shit.
Inspired Hillary.
That was the coolest moment when she went into that. When she went into that interview, and it was the actress who played her sister Janice, and her name was actually Janice. And then
it was both of them.
V2.
It was the original. It was the second Viv and the
no, it wasn't. That was not the second Viv. That was Janice. She played Janice. No, it was not. It was Janice.
It was both women.
It was both of them. It was the second.
That was Janice. I'm pretty sure that was Janice. She had two sisters.
It was Aunt Viv and it was the other aunt.
It was not. Okay, I'm gonna look it up because that was not. She played Janice. I looked it up earlier.
She played Aunt Viv. I'm pretty positive about that.
Well, let's look it up really quick. Hold on.
I thought it was the second Aunt Viv and the other aunt.
I don't know. We'll look it up later. But yeah, so
I didn't like the fact that she said.
Okay, yeah, it was. Charlene Woodard played Janice, and I was thinking she was the original Aunt Viv. No, he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew that she had a sister named Janice.
Yeah, she had
that
a
was
sister.
interesting. That was interesting that they named her Janice. I guess they didn't want to call her Vi or whatever. But yeah, it was like, so it was both the Vivs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, yeah. It was
Vi's, both the Vi's.
Okay.
A Viv and a Vi.
Viv and a Vi, right?
Yeah,
that was the two.
But I did think that I recognized that they were from the series.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, that was the coolest moment.
Yeah, I did, but I just didn't. When she said that, like, my nephew's like fearless and he's inspired me to get, I was just like, how do your kids feel?
He's unapologetically himself.
Yeah, like, how did you raise your kids then to be?
Exactly.
I just thought I was just like, it's kind of weird for a mother to say, right? I hope, I got love for my aunts, and I hope she tells me, Chuck, I inspired her and Chuck didn't. So, like, what I'm saying? I just don't get that. I don't get it, right? I know she got love for me, but I don't expect her to tell me I inspired her and Theo and Chuck did. I just don't get it, right? That's just me. But
it's weird. There's a lot of weirdness in all of this.
Well, I can understand the concept of someone with fresh energy inspiring you in a different way than people you see every day. And Will was a fresh, no offense, no pun intended, but he was a refreshing energy, and that he did come in with, but I just think that she should have had something for her rest of her family. Yeah,
I was really tired. You know what tired me out of this whole entire show? They talked about Philly one more time. So Philly, what the John doing over there? Like, the slang tired me out.
I like the slang.
I like the slang too. I wanted more. That's why I said I wanted to spend a whole episode in Philly.
That's fine for Philly, but when he was in LA, they were responding to him. Carlton was responding to him like he understood the slang. Like, he didn't know what a John was.
I don't really know what a John is. It's like it's blanket. It could be a bunch of things from my understanding of it.
Check that John out over there. Carlton looked and was like, "Yeah, I see it." Like, not once this bougie ass boy say, "What the hell are you talking about? Speak English."
Well, that's a whole other.
Got this chopped cheddar. Got this chopped cheddar over here.
I think they were trying to avoid controversy, which is something that is within different.
That we all don't know each other's slang.
That we all don't speak the concept of, like, we don't all speak the same slang and understand it. Because I'm from Michigan, and I say different things, and people don't know what I'm talking about.
Aunt Viv was left Philly in the 70s and 80s, and then she got to Bel Air.
For 20 years.
And John is relatively new. John came out when I was in college.
Right. And that's one of the cool things I was about to say about being in college. You meet people from all these different places.
I'm like, how she know the slang and everything?
Slang. Right.
And they were like, can't forget about Philly this and Philly that. I was like, I'm tired of hearing about Philly. I want to see what's going popping in Bel Air, because I live in California and I don't care about Philly. They ran from Philly, all of them.
Well, and that was another thing. I didn't know, was Uncle Phil from Philly? Because they didn't really establish that. I felt like they met in college.
He's from North Carolina. We know that.
Right,
Yamacraw.
Right.
Okay. Yamacraw, yeah. Now, where they met, it's never really clear.
And Will's father is also Jeffrey's also loyal to Will's father, because when he got fired, he said it. He's like, because you still loyal to him.
Huh?
Uncle Phil turned to Jeffrey and said, "You're still loyal to Will's father."
But no, he didn't.
Yes,
I thought he was talking about because Jeffrey had left his son.
Because he left his son.
I thought that's what that reference.
Yeah, I thought that was too.
I don't know. I thought it was reference that he knew his father.
I don't think so.
I thought it was reference to more like.
I think he knew his father.
I thought it was like, you are, because you left your son, he left his son. Then you have some sort of like camaraderie. You're rooting for him and doing these things the way you wish you could do them for your own son.
And that's what
I got.
That's why I interpreted as well.
I thought he interpreted that he knew him.
So let's get in one more point. Let's talk about this last scene. Marlon Wayne comes back and he's Will's father.
And that's why I dropped it to a mini meal.
This is
it was a full meal up until then.
This is what dropped it kind of for me, because it was almost what I thought it would be. It would be overly dramatic. And I just thought that scene happened too fast, too rushed. And it left me feeling creepy.
Will didn't even leave the first semester of school yet, and he's done had all this happen to him.
Yeah, man.
And everybody's afraid to tell him that his daddy was in jail.
I know. Really?
Right.
I would have thought his daddy murdered somebody.
That's what I thought.
He was like beat somebody and steal.
I thought his daddy stole a Viv, and Uncle Phil took her and left, and that was it.
And
something wild.
I'm expecting him to be like Charles Manson. The way they talked about him, I was like, and it was just like a regular. Listen,
he was just a regular dude, lonely dude, locked up in prison.
And of all ethnicities, there are kids of every color who have a parent that went down a road that landed them in jail. And I'm pretty sure Will had some friends who had that.
Right.
Like, I don't understand the weight that they put on that, the way that they did it. I agree that it was weird, but for me, the bigger problem was
Marlon Wayne's bad acting.
I thought he did.
Actually, I thought he did okay.
Yeah, I did.
It was a different character for him because we're used to seeing him funny. I actually thought the what was written for him was actually really interesting to see him play that kind of character, because I've never seen him in that way before. So I actually was really impressed by him. My problem was, like I said earlier, that is one of my favorite episodes of The Fresh Prince, because prior to them shooting that scene, Will Smith, actual Will Smith, had been talking to James Avery about acting. And he was suggesting to him that James was trying to encourage him as an artist, as an actor, to find your own truth. And so that whole scene after Lou leaves and Will's like, posturing like, no, I'm okay. Why didn't he want me? That was improv. That was improv. That whole scene was improv. That from that moment on, and Uncle Phil like holding him. And that's when James Avery whispered in his ear, now that's great acting. You know what I mean? So like we get to see a older black man comforting this young black male who is being emotionally vulnerable. And you took that away from this young actor who could have had this moment. Instead, you got him still posturing like angry and like,
and you turned him into a thug.
You turned him into a thug. You know what I'm saying? Which is what they've been doing this whole series. You thugged him, and that wasn't right. I was so hurt by that, because you robbed of the actor who played Uncle Phil, and you robbed the actor that played Will, and then you ended just for the sake of a cliffhanger, more freaking drama.
Which was so weird, them just looking out over LA. I was like, you ain't got, and the dialogue between him and Jazz was just terrible. It was just terrible.
Because it was a throwback to the pilot, but it just should not have been him and Will. It should have been Uncle Phil and Will.
Yeah.
That was a great moment you want to leave it on a cliffhanger, them staring out at the city. You could have done that, but it should not have been Jazz. Jazz is a peer. Yeah. He didn't need a peer. He needed a parent.
He needed a man, a parent, a parental figure. Yeah. And it got really weird. Him almost wanting to fight Uncle Phil. And it just was like, we turned this.
It was all weird.
It turned it up to what I thought. I was like, when I first heard it was going to be a dramatic series, I was like, that's what they're going to do. And up until that point, I was actually fine. With it. When we got to there, I was like,
they squeezed in all the seasons of Fresh Prince of Bel Air into this first season. Say we're done with it now.
The Lisa and Will
we got it all out of our system. We're gonna go completely left with this whole entire story. Make Rivendell. That's what they're gonna do. It's gonna be a murder mystery and a ghost and all kinds of stuff.
Oh my god. Lisa and Will having actual sex on like date 1.
What date? That was just at the house party.
That was at the house party. And they just decided to have sex. And I was like,
that's about right.
Is that right for I guess
that's about right for kids today? Oh, that's definitely about right.
You wouldn't tell me what happened to you after we had sex. It was like, I barely know you. I could have risked my uncle. I could have risked me. Why would I tell you this? Why would she? Why would I? Daughter. Why would she even expect?
Y'all know where I went with that? to what's the animated series on Prime?
The Boys or Invincible?
Oh, The Boys.
Invincible. When Amber
Invincible.
said that to him, I went straight to there. It was like,
That's
this
exactly.
Amber
That
ass
is such a good
bitch.
point. That is such a good point. She was
Like,
such
why?
an Amber. She was such an Amber.
Right.
She was such
Especially when
Amber.
you was filling him out. Your father told you to snitch on them. And Uncle Phil kind of said, not snitch on him, but look after him. And Uncle Phil kind of hinted to the same thing. Why would he tell
Uncle
you
Phil
that?
said just stay away.
But why would
you're
you do
right.
that? But why would, I don't understand why she got so mad. I was like, he barely know you. And you want him to admit to a crime that he committed? Something that could impact his family and him? Why would he do that?
He wouldn't do that. That's why.
He wouldn't do that.
Nobody would. And why would she
wouldn't do
expect him to do it? Like, it was that good? I get it. I don't know.
But was it that bad? Was it that bad? He did. I mean, like you go and you ask your questions and then you gauge your response. But I felt like she didn't even she had already made up her mind before she even got in there. Did you kill somebody? I'm like, did you read the report? He didn't give you the whole report. What you doing?
And he shot the gun up. He said, I had to stop a friend from getting beat up. I shot the gun up. I'm from Philly. What do you expect from me? I don't get it. It's so weird. I just thought that was weird. Yeah,
it was uncomfortable.
Everybody in Philly got them guns and killing folks. All black males, they killing
apparently that's just the way they, Philly is represented.
Dog, where it is. And that was the interesting thing in the original series. Will was like the victim. He got picked on and his mom got scared. Nah, not this Will. He out there packing guns in the backpack and talking trash to drug dealers and stuff like that. Because Philly is his city.
Yep. Because all he had to say,
all
he had to say to Raheem was like, "Look, we didn't throw the ball at all, brother.
That's it.
It was the dude.
I'm like, that was him. That was your dude through that. Yeah. Nobody said a word.
You'd be like, that John that was your man's right there. That's all he had. That was your man's right there. Like, fam, you know me. You know I don't I don't get that. And he would have been, because a lot of things that happen, especially like older like guys, ball players and people with potential, they usually look out for. Exactly. They usually look out for him. And if Will's the star of the basketball team, they already know that. And they like, all right, man, we got you, fam. We know that ain't how you get down. And that would have been that. But
they
had to turn it up.
They never would have been on the basketball court in the first place. They'd have been like, y'all need to like work this out, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Y'all need to work this is some dumb stuff. We out here trying, like, we need him to do well. He's gonna do good for us. You know what I mean? He's gonna put Philly on the map.
That is what a lot of older dudes do. Like that's even in the movie with Will Smith and the Serena Sisters. Like they was like, we know the gangsters was like, we know what y'all doing. Yeah, you good, fam. You good if you come over here now. And that's generally how things work. That's generally how it works. They not gonna be like, you hit me with the ball, I'm gonna kill you. Like it was weird. It was a little weird. All right, guys, we done talked about this ad nauseum. We're going to re-rate it. So, Courtney, you went last this time. We're going to start with you first. How are you going to re-rate Bel Air?
I'm going to stay at a high mini meal because I do think that I like the representation of the way they presented the Black people in this story. I just had so many problems with the storylines. They were so flawed and the pacing was so weird. Okay. I'm gonna stay.
Okay, so mini meal. All right. And I'm gonna hold firm with my full meal. I like the characters in it. I like the updates that they did with a lot of characters. I like the scenery of it. I like the look of it. It was fun up until we got into like the last episode. I just thought that over dramatization was just really weird and strange. But I did enjoy watching it, and it ended a little weirdly. Like, did they not know if it was going to be renewed or not? But I do hope it gets renewed. I hope it gets renewed because I was invested in it, and it's a show by a Black creator, and it's given a lot of Black actors jobs. So I really do hope that it gets renewed for a second season. So I'm going to hold firm with my full meal. Chuck, how you going to rate it, man?
I'm dropping it down to a snack.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that.
It down to a snack.
I knew you were going to do it. I thought about it, but I'm sticking it.
No, I'm dropping down to a snack. It deserves a snack. The reason it deserves a snack is because after as pretty as the people are, they can't hold that show. And I think they rushed 5 seasons of Fresh Prince of Bel Air into this one season. And I'm gonna see more Lou. I don't care to see more Marlon Wayans at all.
I really thought he did a good job.
And I'm gonna see more Carlton doing Xanax and talking about his anxiety. Why is he doing cocaine? Because one thing that brings anxiety to you is cocaine or Xanax.
Right, you right about that?
He doing uppers and downers at the same time.
Lisa now cheating with Will. We're gonna see more of that as she's staring her ex-boyfriend in the eyes as he's doing cocaine and Xanax.
Her ex-boyfriend.
And we're gonna watch Hillary continually make bad mistakes when she got her powerful lawyer ass daddy and her bodyguard
they better bring Jeffrey back.
House staff there to actually fix this problem with Kylo. Because I'm pretty sure Jeffrey rolled up on that white boy and
Right?
give him a couple of hands.
He'd have put his foot up that boy's ass.
I mean, they got rid of a drug dealer in Philly
Why his name
across
Kylo
the
Ren,
country.
Though? Kylo Ren needed to go. Yeah. Kylo Ren was
drug
such a
dealer
buster.
did literally go from Philly to Bel Air and knew off a video.
Yeah, off a video.
No, the drug dealer didn't. That was Jeffrey's dude following him.
No, he came to LA because he was parked outside of the school.
That was Jeffrey's dude.
That was Jeffrey's boy.
Will.
That was Jeffrey's boy.
That was Jeffrey's boy. He was having him follow Will because he knew that the drug
dealer
knew.
I thought it was the drug dealer.
No, that's why they had that scene in the parking lot, and he was or in the alley. And he was like, keep watching him.
Keep watching him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. And Michael Ealy finding
Michael
over
creepy. He was so damn creepy.
Very creepily too.
But that's what he's always doing. He's the thirst trap in Elmstead.
He is. So it dropped down to a snack for me.
He was real fine. No, I can't take that.
Don't let me get this wrong. This show was beautiful, man. The clothing, the film, I'll say the way the lighting, they really shot Black people very, very,
very well. And the hair and makeup was on point.
On point.
The costumes were all of the wardrobe was phenomenal.
And I thought Ashley was a waste. She was just there because they had a character named Ashley in the first series, and they just threw it in the second one. She had no story whatsoever.
None.
And they said, so it goes into a snack. She didn't wrap anything
up. No. At least Hillary and Carlton and Will wrapped something up. She didn't even feel comfortable telling her mother that she was considering that she liked a girl. Yeah. And her mom knew that she didn't. She clearly, you could see Aunt Viv was like, I just want to know.
You take an interest in this. I don't feel like talking to you about it.
So then she has no closure to her arc. Okay.
No, she doesn't. Well, I don't think, but everybody's was still kind of open.
And all I know is they went to church.
One Sunday and hadn't been there.
Well, I'm sorry.
And hadn't been there.
And been there in like
Carlton really knew. Do we think Carlton really knew that Black gospel song?
Apparently he did because he was ready to do it solo.
I don't think he knew.
But he acted like he didn't want to do it. He was just doing it out of
his dad
wanted him to.
Yep. So it got down to a snack for me.
And they didn't go to church a lot to begin with. And
lucky I didn't drop down
all the white people. Yeah, he grew up on all them white people at that rich school. You mean to tell me he's listening to gospel songs and then gonna go up there and sing a gospel song?
Oh my God. Okay. One last thing. We didn't even talk about the fact that the white boy put Coke in Will's bag in the pilot. After he joined the basketball team. Okay, I'm done.
Done. Like I said, they rushed all 5 seasons to one.
But that didn't even happen in Bel Air. Ain't nobody put coke in.
I know it.
The white boys didn't want to kick Will out of school.
They don't want to waste cocaine. You just wasted some drugs. I mean, I know they got money that they don't care, but like.
That was just push.
Put some cornstarch in there.
Okay, what is it, Randy? And the tape just disappeared. Cameras all over the place.
Right. And then Carlton was like, you don't want a Black mom to be on you. I was like, what are we doing here? They didn't have
Okay. Y'all keep y'all score. Thank y'all.
I'm keeping my score. Thank y'all for helping me. I like this series. I did. It was better than what I thought.
You did.
It was. I'm keeping my mini meal. So that's a score of 9.
No, you gave it a full meal. You just dropped it to a mini meal. Oh, okay. You said I'm keeping my mini meal.
You just said
Oh
keep
no, I
my
mean
mini
my
meal.
full meal. I keep my full.
Okay.
So it's a solid mini meal. A solid
Okay.
mini meal. That's what it came
Okay.
because I gave it a 4. Courtney gave it a 3. You gave it a snack. That's 9. 9 divided by 3. That's a solid mini meal.
Okay.
I like it. And I'm pushing for a season 2. I want to see more Black people working. All right, Miss Courtney Scott Wright, you got anything for us as we head out?
Nope.
Okay. Chuck, you got anything for us
literally
as
got
we head
nothing.
out, man?
I can't wait for season 2.
I'm looking forward to season 2 myself.
They can't copy anything from the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air anymore. They done used all the scenes.
Then that means maybe it can stand more independent. Because I think that hurt the series too. Because people kept comparing it to what
They kept
the
giving us all the
original sitcom.
scenes.
You know, and they trying to, so
All we need is Tupac to show up. The Tupac character got to show up, you guys.
Tupac was never on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
He's gonna be in this one though. He's gonna be in this one.
He was on a different
It's the Tyra
world.
Banks character. The Tyra Banks character is gonna be there too.
Yeah. Well, that's college. Well, they can still. Well, Lisa was still when he was an adult. So yeah, they could bring her in. They can bring her in. All right, man. That is going to conclude our show. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, shouts out to Digital Click. They do all our creative and keep us looking fly and cool and all of those things like that. If you're into digital marketing and promotions, give them a shout out at www.digitalclick.com. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can like us on Facebook and Twitter or those things. And also, we'll still be jumping around in here on Twitch lately. Chuck, do we got anything coming up on Twitch or anything?
We may do a game stream, but I have to sort that
so we
out.
might got a game stream coming out. All right. And next week we are going to be reviewing Bridgerton. So that should be interesting for us. The Geekish Network, we are a network for underrepresented people, and we want to represent you. We want to represent people that look just like you. We have Black creators, we have Asian creators, Latino creators, tech people, all of those great things. So we want to fully represent you. So please support us. As Courtney always says, come back and watch us next week at the same geek time, same geek channel. We'll holler at you guys. Peace.